Hello everyone. So when I go and make kinds of videos about how Minecraft can be programmed, I often beat around the bush a lot. I say, ooh, I'm speculating, and ooh, this might be wrong. And the reason why I do that is because there's a very high chance that I might be wrong. And in this case, I was wrong. So, awesome. Well, not entirely, but partly. I made some rookie assumptions about what the game is capable of. And I knew that that was a possibility because, well, I've never seen the game code before. So that's fun. So now, before I get to the mistake that I made, I'm going to talk about ideas and why you should publish them, even if they are probably wrong. So I had a sneaking suspicion that there would be a flaw in my argument somewhere. And that's why I kept calling on a lot of the game designers and programmers to say, hey, help me out here. I really need your help. And help you did. So now that you guys have helped me, we can take this idea to the next level. I like to think of my Dear Dev series as like a prototype for ideas, and eventually they will expand into something that's less dumb, I guess, is the blunt way of saying it. I love unscripted videos. These are fun. So now, in the normal response kind of style of this video, I'm going to respond to your comments if I haven't already. So let's take a look at this first comment here, which I thought was interesting. Fiddling with the sliders in a mega chunk kind of way would not be very possible. Think about chunk borders when the terrain generates over the years. Smoothing the borders out would be very time consuming. Massive lag, not practical. Your other idea about altering decorations is a great one. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Okay, so basically what this guy is saying is it's very difficult to smooth out the terrain. I guess that's the takeaway from this. And I actually did consider this, but this is where my rookie assumption comes into play. I thought, well, if biomes are managing to change the noise of the terrain between biomes and manage to smooth that out, then the meta chunks must do that. And yeah, that is really, really flawed logic that I didn't really think through very well. So now my question to you is, okay, if the meta chunk won't work, then can we do this per biome? Is that possible, or am I applying some kind of other flawed logic here? I don't know. But at least we have identified a problem, and there's a potential solution. But then again, I could be wrong a second time. So take that however you want. This next comment says, I'm not that big of a programmer, but I think it would be easier to just randomize generation values for each specific biome based on the seed and location. Hey, that's just what I said. Awesome. Thank you for... Hello, Phoenix. I have to say that because we aren't viewing Minecraft worlds from a bird's eye view, the disparity between terrains will have to be very great to achieve any diversity. Otherwise, and because we play Minecraft quite a lot, they'll continue to look and feel the same. We've seen this trend over every update now. That is, in other words, new biomes will not feel new at all unless they're new. Good points. I don't really know how to respond to this, to be honest, because it's such an excellent counterpoint. So I had to cut the video to think about this one because it is a good point. Basically what Phoenix is saying is just changing the noise and just changing the density of trees and the height probably won't be enough to make everything different. Like you will probably need a lot more variables, like, I don't know, boulders, maybe some hill elements. You know what? I'm sorry to bring Tempest Box back into this. This has a point. But maybe I can try making some hill elements and just kind of spawning them in over the terrain. I wonder how that will work. I'll have to think about that, because it might be feasible. I think by this point I need to accept that no matter what we suggest, it's either going to be too much work on the developers or it's just not going to make much difference at all. But I'm really trying to think about how we can find new solutions to that. And that's the main reason why I present these issues. Like, I think the solutions seem so obvious to people, like, oh, just add lots of stuff and then we're good. No, you can't. That's why I made my Sky Dimension video. You can't just add lots of stuff, because that takes time, and the development team is not Bethesda, they're Mojang. They're very small. They can't do that. So thanks, Phoenix. You've You've made me question my existence. This next comment I can really relate to. If I was in Canada and I looked at a snowy mountain, it would look the same as a snowy mountain in Russia or Switzerland or New Zealand or Tibet. Sure, not exactly, but you get my point. Okay, so this is the realism argument. And I actually have a strong case for the realism argument because I used to be one of those people who wanted everything in Minecraft to be realistic. And the reason why I wanted that so much is because I had to try and convince my parents and my teachers that Minecraft was educational. And if it's not realistic, then it's very hard to convince them, like an adult that doesn't know anything about video games, it's very difficult to convince them that this can be an education tool. So I used to play a lot of science mods, which in hindsight weren't that scientific. But I used to play a lot of these because I wanted to prove to all the adults around me that this can be used as education, so we need more realism, and everything I suggested was about realism. But unfortunately, it's just a low priority. Fun is the most important. I think fun is the most important thing, and we do have Education Edition now, so that's good. So hopefully something will come out of that. But I understand the realism case from an educator's point of view anyway. Anyway, next comment. This is what I'd do to make the terrain better. I actually haven't read this comment, by the way. I just saw a big wall of text and just decided to copy it. Let's read. I'd make chunks have a small chance if it's in a specific biome to have new features, such as giant boulders, structures, etc. I think that's a good idea. It might be a lot of work if you're adding lots and lots of structures, but anyway, go on. And then it will make some kind of lassos around the selected area, and then put some of the normal in that spot. So what I'm trying to say is, if you're not understanding me, is that the game will randomly select chunks and customize those chunks. So in the middle of the desert, in a tweaked chunk, could have something like a desert city or a piece of land with more cacti than usual, and you should get the idea. Okay, so I understand where you're going with this. You want to add more structures, like boulders and different kinds of trees and that kind of stuff, and apply them to different biomes. Now, I think that's a decent idea, but how much? How much of that are you going to need before people really stop getting bored of the terrain? How much? I guess, how many structures will you need for that to actually start to have a long-lasting effect? Do we just need to add more boulders? Do we need to add like 10 new structures? 30? 100? How much? I'm actually genuinely curious. Comment, how many structures do you think it would take? Like these kinds of elements, for this to have, in your opinion, a long-lasting effect on the game. I'd like to hear about that. I'm a video game designer. Hi. From what I can tell, this is being way overthought, but I see what you mean. Okay, I can tell you're trying to be really polite here. Okay, all biomes are generated the same. This can be done, he says in quotes, by setting a coordinate at a location on the world map. If blocks are near that coordinate, then they will be coded with different behaviors. Similarly, I can't say that, with your idea of splitting the world into a 16 by 16 meta chunk, a coordinate system could work outlining those squares to then transform each section of the terrain in a different way. Whether they be 2,000 feet above ground mountains or 700 feet tall rabbits. What? This is surely possible, and it will certainly encourage people to explore Minecraft more. I don't know what a 700 foot tall rabbit is, but I see what you mean. Now, I don't really have much to add here, except that our meta chunk theory doesn't really seem to be that feasible, so we should do this biome by biome, but your coordinate system interests me a lot. And that's all I have to say about that. Here's another comment I haven't read. I think it would be easier and more effective to have a random chance based on seed coordinates and biome for exceptional biome features. Hey, this is a good idea. I like where you were going with this. For example, tiny irregular patches of sand scattered around an otherwise non-standard desert biome, I read that wrong, or some other block substitution like surface clay, or a load of unique structures at random locations to mix up a forest, or podzol mounds, or boulders of mossy cobblestone. This would add diversity without risking the weird jumps of height at chunk boundaries that others have mentioned. Okay, yeah, that's a great idea. I can really see. We'll call them S biome. No, that's dumb. Yeah, I can really see going into a biome and being surprised by how great it is. Like, I guess it would be interesting to have biomes be mostly the same, but every now and then you get one that's really extraordinary. I like this idea. Thank you for your comment. Now, this is a long comment, so I won't read it out loud. But he says, "Hi, I'm the developer of the Aether 2 mod, and am now primarily experimenting with the mob animation, mob AI, and terrain generation." So his main points are is that the terrain and the lighting engine are huge performance hogs, and so having unique, amazing terrain will probably be a huge dip in performance. And he also says that there could be some extremely harsh cliff faces with my suggestion, and then you'd have to smooth those out, which is even worse for performances. But he says it's not impossible, but it would be a major overhaul to the terrain. And knowing the size of Mojang, I don't think that's going to happen, in my opinion anyway. So this comment pretty much goes against my hypothesis, and yeah, I agree with it. But it doesn't really talk too much about the actual population that other commenters mentioned earlier, like denser trees, heightened trees, and things like that. I still think we can do this, so I still have faith in half of my idea. Not so much in the other half, now that I've read all these responses. But thank you very much for your response. I appreciate that a lot. Now, while I would love to wait 2 months to exhaust all the possible comments that could come out of this, I want to get this video up as soon as I can, so people know about my mistake and your wonderful ideas. So I'm just going to leave you with this funny meme. Anyway, I've really enjoyed making this response video. I really like doing these videos for whatever reason. I guess I just like these off-the-cup, unscripted talks, and they're fun. Anyways, I'm going to go study for my exams, so I might be offline for a while, but take care. I'll see you in the next one.